Okay, Nikki Haley's made a point of talking about it. President Biden has been much talked about because of it, his age. And whether or not you are in your golden years, there are discussions about whether those who are older are mentally competent to do the job, any job. The latest data from AARP over the past couple of years shows about 60% of people 50 and older believe that workers who are above a certain age do face discrimination. 32% say they've heard a negative comment about a coworker's age, and about 1 in 6 say that they've been the target of negative remarks about their age in the workplace. Bill Rivera, Senior Vice President of Litigation for the AARP Foundation, here with me right now. Bill, is this getting a lot more of attention because there are multiple generations working together and there's this cultural divide in the workplace?
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me. And there definitely is a unique experience with so many different generations in the workforce. People have long worked together, obviously, from different generations, but now you really do have 5 generations coming together. And that requires people to really think about how they interact with each other, the kinds of stereotypes and the language that they use when they're working with each other.
And I'm sure technology also plays a part. You know, you have to be so in tune with what's cutting edge now and learning all kinds of programs. But somebody's feelings could obviously get hurt depending upon what's said. What defines age discrimination?
So age discrimination is largely treating people differently because of their age. And to the example that you just used, people will make assumptions about older people, about technology and their comfort level with it. That really is unfounded. People who are 50 and older are very conversant with technology. They're eager to learn more about technology, but too often they are really thought of as being unable to learn the technology. And that unfortunately turns into things like jokes about not being able to teach an old dog a new trick.
Yeah, and I've seen data that shows that even 20-something-year-olds are feeling intimidated by the amount of tech that they have to learn nowadays and juggling, multitasking all of the different things that they need to know. But if there is a joke shared at work, I would think some people would be embarrassed or feel nothing would be done. What should they do if they're the butt of one of those age discriminatory jokes?
Well, it is important to call that out when you get what people would think of as being a joke, but really underlying it is a negative stereotype about older workers. So you want to call that out, talk to your coworker. If it's somebody that you work with that made that remark, if it comes from your supervisors, well, that could be particularly troublesome because that could be a potential threat to opportunities for career advancement, for example, or your job itself. Sometimes you need to report the matter in accordance with your company's HR policies related to age or other forms of discrimination. So it really depends who it comes from, but ultimately you need to make sure that you articulate that that is not right for somebody to try to treat you differently or to say things that one might think is funny, but really too often we tolerate comments about age that we'd never tolerate about race, ethnicity, gender, or other categories.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I think the lesson here is if you hear something that makes you uncomfortable, don't just slough it off or hold it inside, bottle it up so that you explode later on the job and people are wondering, what's up with you? But secretly, they're very upset and hurt. Bill Rivera from AARP, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.